Hello and welcome to Certifiably Jenny. I am Jenny and welcome. Welcome if you are new, and a very warm welcome for those who follow me every week. I do appreciate your support. Well, as you would have seen from the title, things are changing massively, radically, huge. Yes, so I thought it was about time that I actually brought you into my confidence and told you what was going on. Now, you would have noticed that I've missed a few videos here and there over the last few weeks, and that's partly because I've been very busy. What you won't know about me is that I am actually a sort of a serial reinventor. I sort of have always felt that there isn't much time in just one life to get in all the fabulous, interesting, wonderful things that you can do in life. And so I have, over my life, every few years, reinvented myself, tried something completely different. I have lived in multiple countries. I have had several careers. I have degrees and qualifications in various areas. I've lived in all sorts of accommodation. I've spent 2 years on a bicycle living in a tent. I've lived on the beachfront, on an island, and you will have seen more recently on a pocket farm, which is where you've joined me because, of course, watching these videos, you've maybe followed me along from the beginning when I started renovating the house and doing the garden, living sustainably. And then more recently, I've brought you into my sewing room and showed you more of the crafts that I do, the design, the style, you know, that type of aspect of what I do. So it all started sort of the end of last year, the beginning of this year, if you like. There are a few things that have happened, gone on in my life that I won't go into, but they have made me just sort of think and reassess my priorities. Quite often around the end of the year, I think people start to sort of think about the year gone past, the year ahead, and those types of things. So it is sort of fairly natural at that time to reassess. But one of the things that was happening was that, as you know, my eldest daughter lives in Germany. And she got married fairly recently, well, a couple of years ago now, I think, actually in the garden. And then we also went over to Germany for her Western and her Indian wedding over there. And I brought you along for the putting together a capsule wardrobe for that trip to Europe. Since then, my younger daughter has also decided to move to Germany, which will just leave my husband and I on this side of the world. All of my family still lives in the UK. We are originally British. And of course, both my daughters will now live in Germany. And New Zealand is a long way from anywhere. It is pretty much the middle of nowhere. So it is challenging to have all my family over on the other side of the world. There are a few things going on over the other side of the world which I would like to be a lot closer to. So we are moving. We are selling the pocket farm. We are upping sticks, selling a load of stuff. The chickens I have already rehomed. Maggie, of course, will be coming with us, and we will be moving to the other side of the world, back to the UK. So do follow along, subscribe, hit the bell. If you could like this video, it would be amazing. The algorithm really likes that, and then more people can find my channel. So the plan really is that we're going to go over to the UK for maybe about 3 years and see how that goes and see if we like it. If we really like it, we will stay if we can. Of course, we have not lived in the UK for, heavens, 36 years? Yes, 36 years since I've lived in the UK. So it has changed, I'm pretty sure, since then. We have no idea what it's going to be like anymore, whether we'll like it, whether we won't. If we decide to come back to New Zealand, what we will probably do is move to Christchurch rather than moving back to Auckland. A few of you may know that Christchurch actually had quite a massive earthquake in 2010, 2011. And it basically flattened a lot of the city centre. Now that means that it's actually been able to regenerate and create a whole new sort of central city area, new builds, new facilities. It's really quite amazing. So I was involved just a little bit with the rebuild sort of thinking in the early days of that through my role at the time. And since then, I've not really been down to Christchurch at all. So we did actually go last weekend to check it out. And I'll put a little bit of footage in here of our trip to Christchurch. And also, if the filming's a bit off, that's because I've got a new piece of equipment and I was testing it out. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that after I show you Christchurch. I have finished my cardigan, the one I was working furiously on because it's a chunky knit and I wanted to have it ready to go to Christchurch. I've also got a little brooch on here. This is a charity shop find for Christmas. We're only going for 3 days, so quick recce. Maggie is not sure. She is not happy about this whole bag situation. Sulking, I think. Ooh, very bright, very bright. I probably got the wrong setting on this here camera now, but very lovely. It's a beautiful day and we're really looking forward to going out and exploring. For the first morning we went out on bicycles. The hotel we were staying in had free bicycles, electric bicycles, so we borrowed those and we went around all of the suburbs that were sort of adjacent to the CBD. So the upshot of that was that we actually preferred the central city, the CBD area. There is a lot of really nice sort of new townhouses being built in that central grid area, and they were really gorgeous. So the next morning we went out to some open homes and actually just went into some of these lovely little townhouses and apartments just to get a feel for what they were like inside, to imagine what it would be like to live in this sort of environment. So the places we were looking at were actually 2-bedroom apartments and 2-bedroom townhouses. We did actually find a little townhouse that we thought was really, really nice. So we can imagine ourselves living in one of these little townhouses in the CBD. So we've just been to a load of open homes and we've wandered around the city to get the measure of the place. I just stopped in this little park. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but it has lots of trees and statues and fountains, and yeah, it's really rather beautiful. The sun is going down, it's the end of the day and our feet are really sore, so we're now going back to the hotel. The next day we actually checked out the green spaces. So Christchurch is sort of known for its parks and they are really beautiful. Hagley Park is lovely and there are multiple little pockets of park around Christchurch. And since the earthquake, there's actually new parkland that's been opened up because there were areas of Christchurch that they felt were not safe to rebuild on because they had liquefaction during the earthquakes. So they have actually turned that into a sort of a corridor that runs along the river and essentially will be green space, public space, with a walkway and cycleway all the way from Christchurch City out to the coast, which will be really lovely. So we really quite liked Christchurch, and we've decided that if we do come back, we will move to Christchurch. And all of that was filmed with my new piece of equipment, which I'm really trying to get the hang of, and is taking more of a learning curve than I first imagined. The camera that I am filming on at the moment, that I usually do my videos through, is a second-hand Lumix DSLR that I got off Trade Me. It's done brilliantly well all this time, but it's not very good at moving around. It's got no stabilization, so it really shakes about and it's very bad footage. So you're okay sitting there on a tripod, but I wouldn't want to move you around. What I got was a Mimo DJI Pocket 4, and this was a little bit like the machine that my daughter brought over at Christmas that she had been given, and I did a little bit of testing with it then, and I thought, oh, this is quite useful, this is quite good. She has the Pocket 3, I got the Pocket 4 because that had come out in the meantime. It's a learning curve, but we're getting there. Of course, the new equipment is because of the change that we're going through. I have been selling quite a bit of stuff already, and I've sold my piano, sadly, but it certainly wasn't going to make the move to the UK, and it won't do well sat in storage, so I let that go. But with the proceeds from that, I actually bought this new piece of equipment, which is going to be much more useful for vlogging style things, you know, walking around, taking you outside, taking you around in my neighborhood, you know, going for a walk with Maggie, showing you airports and new environments. So I thought that this piece of equipment would be rather useful. Because what's going to happen to this channel? I thought I would take you along for the journey. I thought you might be interested in how I redesign my life. As I said, I've done this a number of times. I'm on version 8 of myself now. So I do have knowledge and skills in changing my life. The first piece of it is that we need to sell everything, because when I put the Pocket Farm together, basically it's built out of stuff from the charity shop and secondhand stuff. So we will just give it back to the charity shop and sell it back on Trade Me. The great thing about secondhand stuff is that you're paying just to rent it and borrow it for a while, and then you put it back out there and you don't actually lose that much money on it because it was secondhand when you bought it. So we just need to release all these things back into the wild, if you like. That takes a little bit of a process. The other thing, of course, is we need to sell our house. That could take a little bit of time. But yeah, we've got to start on that. There's so many things when you change your life to think about, to plan for, to research, to just move one step at a time down the process of change. I'm going to bring you along for that change. It occurred to me that you might be interested to either watch somebody completely change their life and move to the other side of the world, or you might be interested in doing that yourself, and it might be interesting to see how I do it and the techniques that I use, because as I say, I have done it many times now. I follow the same process. I got that pretty much locked in the first or second time that I did it, so really I'm on level 8 now. I know what I'm doing. That doesn't mean it's not uncomfortable. It doesn't make me anxious. There are like masses of things to do that I get a bit overwhelmed. All of the things that I know are coming down the track, I will bring you along. So the highs, the lows, the disappointments, the rethinking, the redirection, the finding your way over and through and round, all of the things that need to happen to get us to the other side of the world and then become the new people that we want to become. Because I am not going to have a pocket farm in the UK. I am going to be different. I have imagined the person I want to be. I have the outfit. This is a weird thing. If you're interested in my thought process around this, do go and check out my Substack. I actually write over on Substack under the name Certifiably Jenny. There's a link actually in the description box below, so please do check that out. It's completely free. You can go over there and read the articles that I've written. You can subscribe, and then anytime I put up something new, it will come straight into your email. So that'll be a really useful way of you finding out when I've put something new up. Over there, I go more into my thought process, what I'm thinking. It is all really about what's going on up there in the noggin, the thinking behind what I'm actually doing. The multiple times that I've redesigned myself, very strangely, the first thing that comes into my head is what I will be wearing in the new me. I know it sounds really odd, but for me, I dress for who I am, and therefore if I can see what I'm wearing in the person I'm going to be, then I can sort of see who I'm going to be. So when I imagine myself, I see the clothes that I'm wearing. Obviously on YouTube, I tend to do more of the action stuff. I show you what I'm doing, that type of thing. So the thinking part is over on Substack. So that'll sort of add in the information that you need to the YouTube that I'm putting out as well on this topic. Now there will be more sewing videos. I'm a crafter. I knit and I sew no matter where I am. When I was on a bicycle, I hand sewed clothes. I knitted socks. I always am crafting. So there still will be obviously sewing videos until I leave. I'm working at the moment on a coat, sneak preview. I'm in my sewing room. So I am currently working on a coat. It's taking a little bit longer than I imagined it was going to take, so that will be coming up. I still have the things on my board which have now become very urgent to try and get through. As you've noticed, I've got a really nice new cardigan on. I knitted this, a chunky cardigan. You don't have a lot of need for a chunky cardigan in Auckland. It's really not that cold. At the moment we are in our winter, and looking at the UK, it is actually colder in the UK than it is in their summer than it is here in New Zealand in our winter. So anyway, I've got a chunky cardigan that I just recently knit pretty quickly because it is actually quite a quick knit, a chunky yarn. And I wanted to get it done because I wanted it finished for our trip to Christchurch, because of course Christchurch is colder. We're at the sort of higher end of the North Island and Christchurch is on the South Island. So of course in the Southern Hemisphere, the further south you get, the colder you get because you're getting closer to the pole. So it's a little bit different than you guys in the Northern Hemisphere where the sun is in the south and you get warmer the further south you get. Different, upside down here. So, once I finished my cardigan, I got it done and I am actually wearing it today because it's a bit nippy. And actually, I just want to wear my cardigan because I like it. And I love the colour. Isn't it a gorgeous colour? I'm calling it raspberry. But it goes really nicely with my grey dress, so I'm having it on today. So it's all really up in the air. What's going to happen? Are we going to go to the UK just for 3 years and then come back to Christchurch? Are we going to go over to the UK and stay? Where are we going to live? What are we going to do? Who are we going to be? All of those questions will be answered in the fullness of time. At the moment, I have something that I am aiming at, and I will share that with you in future videos. And I will also share with you how I'm doing this, what the practical steps are to actually get to the other side of the world, what the emotional phases, steps, transitions are that happen through this process, and also the aspirations of what I'm trying to do. So if you're interested in watching me redesign my life, go to the other side of the world, completely change everything, follow along. And you might even be interested in doing this yourself. And so I'm hoping to impart a whole load of tips and tricks and show you how I do it, what it takes to actually reinvent yourself and move yourself to a different country, essentially. So welcome on this new adventure. Let's see where we end up. It's all pretty exciting at this point, but still very nerve-wracking, and I'm spending quite a lot of time feeling anxious at the moment. But that is normal. That's what happens. You need to push through the discomfort to get to what you want on the other side. That's what I've always found anyway. Do let me know what questions you have. Please put them in the comments below, because I'd be perfectly happy to answer these questions, and anything that would be useful to you to know, please do ask. And I will do my best to cover your questions in future videos. Chatting to you is really lovely and I do so enjoy it, but I have a very long job list that needs attacking and things that need doing, so I better go out there and get on with it. I will see you next time. Bye.